In terms of crazy moments in recent politics, the Philippines might take the crown. Last week, a Philippine senator, wanted by the International Criminal Court, re-emerged after months of hiding, seeking refuge in the Senate, and sparking a dramatic chase, lockdown, gunfire, and an eventual escape. This happened against the backdrop of a family feud-driven political crisis that has seen the president and vice president fall out in spectacular fashion, the latter of whom faces a new impeachment trial and whose father, a former president, is now on trial at The Hague. So with lots of political manoeuvring happening ahead of the 2028 presidential election, in this video we're going to explain the Philippines' pretty crazy political crisis. If you love staying informed and want some of the best reporting on YouTube, then subscribe and ring the bell for more. For viewers who don't regularly keep up with Philippine politics, we're going to start by introducing a few of the key names and faces in this story. One thing to know from the outset is that Philippine politics is heavily dynastic, in that a handful of families tend to dominate the political landscape. The incumbent president is Ferdinand Marcos Jr., commonly known as Bongbong Marcos. Marcos Jr. is the son and namesake of the notorious former president and dictator Ferdinand Marcos, who ruled the Philippines from 1965 until his ouster in 1986. Another powerful political clan is the Duterte family, whose patriarch, Rodrigo Duterte, a foul-mouthed populist sometimes compared to Donald Trump, who served as Philippine president from 2016 to 2022, a single term as limited by the constitution. His daughter, Sara Duterte, is the incumbent vice president. At the 2022 election, the families put aside their rivalry to create a formidable political alliance called UniTeam, which saw Marcos Jr. elected president and Sara Duterte elected vice president, with record-breaking landslides. In the words of one Filipino columnist, the dynastic alliance was built to win an election, not to govern a country. And sure enough, things began to unravel quickly, and not even 2 years into their 6-year term, the Marcos-Duterte alliance collapsed in spectacular fashion. The opening salvo of this feud occurred in January 2024, when Rodrigo Duterte and Marcos Jr. traded allegations of drug abuse, and Duterte accused Marcos Jr. of plotting to scrap term limits. With tensions continuing to escalate, in June 2024, Sara Duterte resigned from Marcos Jr.'s cabinet, while remaining vice president. The point of no return arguably came in November 2024, when Sara Duterte said that she'd asked assassins to kill the president, first lady, and House Speaker if she herself was killed. From this point on, things escalated beyond what had primarily been a war of words. By early 2025, Sara Duterte had been impeached by the House of Representatives, accused of corruption, misusing public funds, betraying public trust, and plotting to kill the president. She denies any wrongdoing and says that the impeachment push is politically motivated. And then, in March 2025, her father, former President Rodrigo Duterte, was arrested and extradited to the International Criminal Court in The Hague to face charges of crimes against humanity, which he denies, allegedly committed during his bloody war on drugs. It's not all bad news for the Dutertes, though. A series of delays to Sara Duterte's impeachment trial in the Senate, which could have removed her from office and barred her from running in 2028, postponed it until after the midterm elections in May 2025. But in those elections, Duterte's allies performed strongly in the Senate, which effectively shelved the case until the Supreme Court blocked the impeachment on a technicality in July. Things have not exactly calmed down in 2026 though. In fact, the opposite might be true. This is where we need to introduce a new character, Senator Ronald Dela Rosa. Dela Rosa is a former police chief who is known as the unrepentant chief enforcer of President Rodrigo Duterte's war on drugs. In the face of a looming ICC arrest warrant for his role, Dela Rosa effectively went into hiding in November 2025, before suddenly re-emerging on May 11th to cast a decisive vote in the ousting of the President of the Senate and replacing him with a Duterte ally. The ICC unsealed its arrest warrant that same day, charging him with the crime against humanity of murder. CCTV footage showed Dela Rosa running away from law enforcement through the building to get to his office, where he locked himself in, and his allies in the Senate placed him in protective custody. He was holed up there for more than a day, and then on the evening of May 13th, gunshots rang out of the building, apparently fired by Senate security personnel amid an argument with government agents. No one was injured, but amid the ensuing chaos, Dela Rosa was seemingly able to escape undetected, and his whereabouts are now unknown. Now, these were some pretty chaotic scenes within their own right, but adding to the significance of these events is that also on May 11th, the House of Representatives voted to impeach Vice President Sara Duterte once again on similar grounds, sending the case to the Senate for the trial. So the change in Senate leadership means that a Duterte ally is now overseeing the trial. This is just the latest twist in the ongoing battle between the Marcos and Duterte dynasties, as they jockey for power. For Sara Duterte in particular, the stakes are existential. If convicted by the Senate, which requires a 2/3 majority, she'll be removed from office and banned from politics for life. This would obviously end her candidacy for the 2028 presidential election, which polls suggest she is the frontrunner in. With her out of the way, any Marcos-aligned candidate, not Marcos himself given the single term limit, would have an easier path to victory. But even if she's not convicted, which is a realistic outcome given that Duterte's allies are stronger in the Senate than in the House, the Senate trial could still be damaging if financial irregularities and evidence of corruption is exposed. Corruption is a huge problem in the Philippines. Last year we saw mass anti-corruption protests erupt, particularly in response to a scandal that saw billions of dollars of flood mitigation funds effectively evaporate. Marcos Jr. has sought to pitch himself as the head of an ongoing anti-corruption drive, but whether he's seen as credible in this regard is up for debate. After all, many Filipinos will still remember his family's kleptocratic regime under his father, and furthermore, his cousin, until last year the Speaker of the House, has been implicated with the flood money corruption scandal. The Marcos-Duterte feud has dominated Philippine politics for 2 years now, often distracting from actual governance, as self-serving dynasties seek opportunities to gain an advantage over each other. But the feud's outcome will also have an impact on the world stage too. One of the most prominent differences in their foreign policies relates to China. While Rodrigo Duterte pursued warm relations with Beijing, Marcos Jr. has lent heavily into the US alliance, boosted defense ties with the likes of Japan, and adopted a more forceful posture over territorial disputes with China in the South China Sea. Now, you're probably looking to learn more about this story and keep up with it as it progresses, and the first place you're probably going to start is online. But in today's world, it feels like 99% of websites demand your email address just to visit the page. So you type in your email to access the site quicker, but unknowingly you've put your online safety at risk. Your information can now be sold online, and your email inbox is suddenly cluttered with a bunch of spam you never even asked for. Thankfully, we have a solution for you, and that solution is Proton Mail. That's because Proton Mail offers a wide range of features to keep you safe. From advanced phishing protection that flags potential attacks to keep your inbox safe, to blocking invisible email tracking and preventing companies from spying on you just so that they can target you with ads. Proton Mail has it all. They even offer unlimited email aliases to get around those pesky websites that demand your information. They also use end-to-end zero-access encryption, meaning their emails truly stay private, inaccessible to advertisers, trackers, and even Proton itself. This means no ads, no tracking, and no profiling, which feels increasingly uncommon today. Proton also makes switching from your old cluttered inbox incredibly simple, with a migration tool that lets you move everything over in just a few clicks. Or, if you prefer, you can start fresh with a brand new email account and enjoy a clean, organized mailbox from day one. So if you want to take back your privacy, start using Proton Mail for free using our link at proton.me/TLDR, and you'll be one step closer to a fully protected online experience, free from data exploitation.